Hello and welcome to this month's mastery session with CEO and Chief Scientist of Zorakle, Rebecca Monet, where we take a look at real Zorakle assessments from your clients. And this week or month, we're looking at Steve Bork's candidate, who's Zorakle he had sent over last week. So we'll take a deep dive into that. And if you have questions as we go along, just unmute yourself, ask away, or if you want to dive a little deeper into anything we're reviewing, please feel free. With that, Rebecca, thanks so much for joining us as always. And if there's anything you want to open with, please feel free.
Yay! Good to see everybody. Really appreciate it. I love doing these sessions, by the way, because we really are able to sort of dig deep into particular clients and seeing familiar faces, which tells me we're learning each time. So yay! So Stephen, if this is your client, can you tell us a little bit about this individual?
Sure. Brian is a very bright guy. I have a kind of a long history with him. I didn't work that closely with him, but we knew each other and worked kind of a little bit together, probably about 20, 30 years ago.
Oh,
And Brian showed up as a LinkedIn lead for me. He remembered my name, and we've been talking for a while now. Brian is an entrepreneur type, for sure. He's also a consultant type of individual, very bright guy. Um, and anyway, he went through, after he left the company we were working with together, he did some things on his own, some consulting things. He had some gigs, and one project in particular he started last year, and it just consumed him. I mean, we started talking about franchising, and then he just had to just back off while this project consumed him 24/7, all week long. And he was tied up with that until just recently. And so I suggested we start back up from the beginning. We kind of reset
mm-hmm.
because this has been, I don't know, maybe 6 months since we started talking. And anyway, he's now more anxious than ever. He's sick and tired of the corporate thing.
Good.
So and even though this was a kind of a consulting gig for him in an entrepreneurial event, he just he's just done with that side of his life. And so now he takes care of his elderly parents who live in Connecticut nearby him, so he can't move, but he wants he's looking at different franchise businesses. I I am meeting with him tomorrow afternoon, and so I'm looking forward to this analysis uh, to help me, direct him to different franchise options that I'll be presenting.
Very cool. So tell me, what kind of consulting is he doing?
Business mergers, business acquisitions, operational efficiency type things. He's pretty, he's a pretty, I guess, robust set of capabilities, in terms of business consulting, I'll say.
Okay. Does he lean any particular direction? The reason I'm asking, Steve, is you called him an entrepreneur, but he also gets consumed, more like a consultant, right?
Yeah.
And so it sounds like he's towing the line both directions. He wants to build something big and be an entrepreneur, but at the same time, he digs into very particular projects, more like someone who's solving problems and consulting, and that's taking some time. So there's a little bit of conflict there going
Well,
on.
he's also kind of tired of that life, Rebecca. He doesn't want to be consumed like that anymore. He wants a more of a regular, business responsibility, giving him more regular business hours or more flexibility to for the work-life balance kind of thing.
Good.
Um, So I would say he's, he's not an empire builder, that's for sure. He
Mm-mm.
specifically said that. He just wants a good business where there's good demand, he can get ROI out of it, and it fits with his personality, his traits, and financially. Okay.
Yeah, I
Although
think that's very
financially
wise.
he's pretty well off.
Well, I think that's very wise. What do you think from your perspective? And I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing because this first, I just looked at it real quickly. Um, is preventing him from doing just that? Is it, this is my first perception, is it because he goes too broad rather than deep, where he's good at everything or he has answers for everything and he can do anything, rather than having two or three things that he just specializes in?
We were going through that very discussion in terms of looking at his areas of interest, and he, oddly enough, he one of his top areas was senior care, and he has elderly parents, and so this is real to him, and
Mm-hmm.
he is a the type of person who needs to have a uh, I guess what am I struggling for here? Um, an altruistic
Yeah,
endeavor.
yeah,
Okay,
I think so
he
too.
wants to make a difference. He wants to help people, and so that's one of the reasons I think that senior care kind of popped up as an interest area. So he was actually talking with Happier at Home, and but then he said he made a comment to me that that didn't really cash flow well for him, and and that was a recent comment, and I went because we were talking about the actually some of the Zoracle results here, and uh, I said, Brian, you're not giving it a chance. You haven't gone further than an introductory call with these folks. I said,
Yeah,
you need to get into the business and you need to get not only through the FDD, but you need to get into validation calls in order
yeah,
to make a judgment like that. So I wouldn't, so anyway, he agreed with that, and I will be presenting Happier at Home again at this point, which he's open to. He said he's open to that. I don't know if
okay.
that answered your question or not.
Well, we're going to look at that. Thank you for sharing these ideas already, because we're going to look at it if that really is a good fit for him, um, especially considering many of these elder care concepts are heavy sales. Um, and he scored okay in sales, don't get me wrong, but it definitely has to be the right
If I,
business.
yeah, if I can make a comment on that, I'm struggling on this with the sales concept because he is not the type of guy that he does not want to do networking. He does not want to do
Yeah,
door-to-door selling, that kind of thing. So that creates a real obstacle for me because
yeah,
most everything requires. So he's going to basically have to hire a sales manager, is what it
right.
comes down to. Um, and I don't
Which
think there's any
which
way around
cuts
that.
into, yeah, rather than a business that might be more repeat business, or yeah, let's talk about it. Let's go through his
He
assessment.
does
But
want repeat, and he does want repeat business. He wants recurring revenue
okay. And so
too.
it still may be in the elder care arena, but it might not be placement. It might be something else. But let's look at it together.
Okay.
Um, the thing about societals that are really cool is they typically are pretty in tune with who they are. They're usually very reflective people. So even though he had an instant reaction to Happier at Home, and he really didn't give it a chance, his intuition may be speaking that that might not be the best option. But let's go through it. So Brian is a societal. He is a thinker. He fits well in a create culture and a stage 2 and stage 3 business. His highest scores are that of a leader. He's definitely a leader. He's definitely a visionary. And he has strong finance and ops, which is probably why he's gone into the M&A arena. He's got some great strengths there. His sales skills are actually pretty good for societal and admin and customer service. His sales potential is low, though. Now, obviously, as you know, the candidate does not see the sales potential. So even though he's scoring way above average in sales ability, he hates it, and he's likely not going to
Yeah.
afford himself to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm an example of that, you guys. I think we've talked about this before, where I score off the chart in sales, and I hate it. I cry after every presentation. So just because you have the skills doesn't mean you enjoy it.
Yeah.
So would you say just initially kind of thinking businesses where he's putting together and managing a team and he's got people to do the sales for him, he can manage the team, focus on leadership, vision, the financial well-being of the business, big picture, but the day-to-day incremental sales, looking for a business where he can kind of hire that out and build a team for that.
Yes. However, I'd be cautious with even that.
Mm,
Because he is a societal, he's going to be innovative, creative, and he's a phenomenal problem solver, right? He can pretty much go into any situation and analyze it and dissect it and come up with solutions. But and he's also highly creative, right? He's got this create culture. So he's got the innovation that comes from societal, create cultures. He's going to fit in best where that franchisor is pushing the boundaries, coming up with new ideas, solving big problems. And then he has this thinker side, which has him, and Steve has already talked about it, has him hung up in the analysis part of things, and he's not going to be as good at delegating, right? So I think Keith, ideally, what you're saying is that's what he would do. But I think his tendency is to not be as good at letting go, right? And this could be a psychological thing, right? It could be a psychological thing that he can overcome and he can learn. But right now, because he's such a good problem solver and such a good at analyzing gaps, that he gets pleasure out of that day to day hung up and things. You and I might get bored by it, but it actually gives him joy to get into the muck, right?
Yeah. What
And
about Rebecca? What about director? That's a pretty strong secondary
it's a
score.
great secondary, and that you're right. That's going to help him a lot. That's
So
going
will
to,
that help him be able to manage teams better then, and from that side?
yeah, he's got an average score in that arena. He's got a 5 out of 10. Okay. What he's going to be better at is anything that is creative and innovative. He's got 4 markers. He's got the societal, he's got the thinker, he's got the create, and he has a wealth motto called creating a better product. This is that entrepreneurial part that you're picking up, Steve. There is a entrepreneur inside of him that wants to come out, right? That probably could come up with a really good idea, a marketable idea. Will he sell it? Probably not. He'll probably license it, right? Maybe it's a way to analyze the value of a business. Maybe it's some IP. Maybe it's a course that he will create. But he's got this way of looking at things slightly different and going, that would be a really good idea. Does he have the money, the energy, the time to develop that idea? That's a different story since he's taking care of elder parents, right? But at least let's put him in an environment that feeds that part of him, right? That feeds him on a daily basis where he's able to make something a little bit better. And I can't think of a business right now or something in your inventory that will do that. But there's a lack of satisfaction that he is feeling right now. He's caught in the mire, and yet he's got this entrepreneurial in him that goes, well, if only this business did this a little bit different, they could triple the revenue, right? He's already thinking that way, but he's trapped. He's trapped and I need income, or they got so many problems, I got to help them fix the problems before I can even discuss that they could have this other product or service. Am I saying that right, Steve? The way he's kind of trapped in this cycle. And my fear is he will trap you in another 6 month cycle if we don't find the right creative business.
I think that's true. I think that's very true.
Especially if I recall correctly, he had a large comfort zone. So I'm putting myself, literally, my heart is racing as I'm being empathetic with him. My heart is just actually in pain. This is pain that he is going through because he so desperately wants to do something big, to leave a legacy, to have something that he's created or helped create. And yet he has these obligations over here and his natural propensity, and I don't know why, this natural propensity to get too deep into something where he can't stay here, maybe get an investor, maybe get a partner, maybe come in with a franchisor that's smaller where he can act more as that sounding board and take that franchisor to the next level. A partner would be great for him. So I'm sorry, I'm going way off here, but I literally am feeling his pain. And he's going to cycle you through another 6 months if we don't find something and find it where he can truly, he's almost in this place of anxiety. Like I'm at that place in my life. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And yet trapped by having to take care of family and having a personality that digs too deep rather than trying to stay big, more big picture. So I hope you can help him. So let's see what we can do to help him. Oh my gosh.
Something yeah, and Rebecca, I can see it through the TV monitor.
Oh my gosh, my heart breaks for this guy. He's so
something that popped into my head for a gentleman like this might be a Sandler type.
Yeah.
Sandler makes perfect sense for him.
Yeah. It's just the only thing that, you'd have to have a conversation with him about is the sales aspect because
Yeah, the
you're
B2B
training on
sales.
sales with Sandler. So you have to go out and do the sales to find clients. And then your responsibility is to train their team on sales strategies. And so,
Well, Action Coach would be a good alternative that
yeah,
Sandler
something
liked
more
without
coaching
having to
than,
have the sales background.
yeah, coaching more than salesy. The alternative board is very much coaching on efficiency, how to improve businesses, making an impact on business leaders. You don't need a team. Very community. You create a community yourself. So something like that can be really fulfilling. It's really scalable, and it's not hardcore sales. You're not selling people anything. You're getting them to join a community where they're getting value from each other. And then you do some one-on-one coaching, but there's not a big sales element to the alternative board or some of those group coaching models like that. Network in action is another one I know that's similar to that. But that might be a really good fit for him because he's having an impact. It's flexible. You're not selling a single product. You're not providing a single rigid service. You're emotionally connecting with business leaders and getting them to improve their systems, and you get to use your creativity. You get to make an impact. You get to wear a lot of different hats too. You're not just assembling a group, you're assembling groups, you're doing individual coaching, you're making sure the members are getting the most out of the group. There's a lot of aspects to it that someone who wants, something a little more creative might find pretty fulfilling.
Is
Yeah.
the danger though that he would get too deep?
That's the biggest danger, but the business model calls for them to stay out of it, right? It calls for them to stay in a coach mode rather or facilitator mode rather than a consulting mode. But you're right, he will have a propensity to drop back into consultant. So he will have to have some mindset. But once he has it, he's going to rock it. He's going to rock it. It's just a slight mind shift. I'm a coach, I'm a facilitator, I'm not a consultant, but because I have this broad scope knowledge base and wisdom, he's got a wisdom that's just brilliant, that he's going to want to solve the problem rather than, no, you're not here to solve the problem or you're here to stay here. He's capable. We just have to get him in a different mindset. I think Steve has a great enough relationship with him that conversation he will get, that he will know he has that. He's like a lot of folks with strong societals, especially creative societals. Oh my gosh, literally my heart hurts for this person. He wants desperately to rescue, especially business owners. And he's done it in a smaller way. Let him do it in a bigger way. Whether that is, like you said, coaching, facilitating, the alternative board, the action coach, whatever. Or if it's literally putting him in a stage 2 franchise company where that franchisor needs him, and he can come alongside that franchisor. I don't know if that's even a possibility, or if it's a company he's currently working with that could be a franchise system. And again, that's me pushing the envelope a little bit. But we got to help this guy.
You know what? Fast signs popped into my head with this as you were talking. Creative. He specifically has to hire someone for sales. And I think that because he doesn't like sales, he'd be more likely to delegate sales,
Hopefully,
And you don't need a huge team
You
with
don't
Fast
need a
Sign. You're
huge
managing a
team.
pretty small team of
It's
employees.
solving problems. It's different kinds of projects.
Let me throw another wrinkle in this. He indicated that in addition to senior care, his other strongest, almost equally as strong area of interest is in industrial services. He's worked with, manufacturers, big business. It's all been, his whole background is B2B. So it makes a little bit of sense. And I was looking at thinking like Pertec, Supply Point, even Everline Coatings or Fly.
yes, all three of those. Yes.
Yeah. On the application side, where he's in a brand that's directly in that industrial industry, those are good. And then staying on the consulting side with the alternative board and those kinds of brands too, you can specialize working with companies that are in certain industries you're really familiar with. So he could assemble, local business leaders in those industrial type of companies and consult and advise those companies on how they can improve in industries he's familiar with too. So a lot of different options on the table. I think it's kind of weighing building a team, managing a team, doing something on his own. That's where you go the kind of consulting route.
Yeah, I think my dilemma has been in two areas: the create culture. He is definitely wants to push the envelope, and that concerns me with a franchise. because, you know, he's the kind of guy that could go off in a different direction, you know, and that could be a problem. So, you know, I'm trying to think of the culture of of these brands, and you know what kind of flexibility they would provide him versus the hardliners, um, like I'll just say like some of the neighborly brands, you know, where you've got to really,
No,
uh, you know, follow the script.
Yeah,
yeah,
that
Um,
wouldn't be the best
he's not
fit.
a neighborly brand guy at all, or
no,
anything that, you know, stage 4, stage 5 would not work with him. It has to be a stage 2 company or late stage 1 company or a stage 3 company that literally is creative. Maybe it's in dance or music or something around children where it's self-expressive. I think he's going to do better business to business rather than
Mhm.
with kids or business to consumer. Um,
And that's kind of why Fast Signs is a good fit, but there's a lot of things that make it not the best fit too. Like that's a very established system you have to follow.
yeah,
The flexibilities and the jobs you do, but everything else you got to follow that system pretty tightly.
Yeah, his creativity would come out in terms
for
of
sure.
If he could,
identifying the kinds of projects that
Mhm.
he, you know, could think about.
Yeah,
Right.
finding a
Definitely.
brand that's got a, established success, but flexibility and they're a little newer. Steve, that's why I know you mentioned this on the Supply Point call yesterday, but Supply Point could be a really good fit because it's a growing franchisor in the industrial space that is B2B relationship based. You're hiring a salesperson, but you're not hiring an entire staff. You just start with a outside salesperson. It
mhm,
could be a really good fit. And they're still adding new revenue streams and kind of aspects to their business model right now because
right,
they are
right.
in that growth stage. So they're in a really good spot when you're checking all the boxes for them.
I agree. At his core, Stephen, and you said it right from the top, and I question you, I'm like, are you sure? He is an inventor. If I don't know what his age is or what his this is a man God created to invent. Will he ever do it? That depends, right? But his mind is that of an inventor. So he either needs to be with an organization that's, like you said, like Supply Point, where there's constant innovation happening and inventions happening and IP happening and things happening. And hopefully he can be a integral part of that, either for several different companies, like with the coaching and facilitating, or with companies like Supply Point and others that you've mentioned in the industrial, because he really is a creator. He is an inventor, especially something that either IP related or tangible, like some kind of chemical or recipe of sorts. So
Mhm.
again, we're going in the future. Whether he fulfills that is another thing. For the reasons we already know, his number one pain point is safety. Okay. So here's a man so talented, so gifted, so desiring fulfillment and self-expression, but having a number one value of safety. Safety is going to keep him in this large comfort zone that says, I can't step out of it. It's too dangerous. No one else has done it. You know, instead, I'm going to go deep here. So safety is something we have to overcome, especially since, as you pointed out, he's also responsible for his elderly parents, right? So that is an even more important thing at the stage of life that he is in. He has to be able to provide that, not just for himself and his family, but for his extended family. So this is going to hold him back and have him cycle every 6 months or so. And you're going to get frustrated and he's going to get frustrated if we can't figure that piece out.
Can you explain safety a little bit more? What do you mean, or what do you think is meant by safety here?
At this point, we really don't know what he means by safety. So
Okay.
I would ask him, I would just simply say, hey, I was going back over your assessment and looks like there's a couple of things I should have asked more questions about. One of which it looks like safety is very important to you. And then just ask him, what does that look like for you in the future? And he may say that I don't have to be away from my parents if they need me, or I have regular income, or this doesn't jeopardize my marriage. He will give you reasons that safety is important, you know.
Okay.
We don't know what it means at this point. It's nebulous. We can't put it in a wheelbarrow.
But
Okay.
isn't that the beautiful thing about franchising though, is yes, you are going out on your own business ownership wise,
Mhm.
but you have the safety net of a proven system. So that's why the emerging brand isn't going to work, because it's probably not proven enough for
Mhm.
someone with safety as their number one factor. But the key to this is safety with being a pain point.
Yeah.
And what does that mean, Rebecca? Because I get what you're saying about safety, but how does that pain point factor into that?
Well, basically, it's telling us right now when he took this assessment, this has become his number one priority. His number one priority is safety, whether there's been a financial change or family change or where it is now his number one priority. If he took the assessment 2 years ago or 10 years ago, it probably wouldn't have even shown up. This would not have been an issue when he was in a corporate environment. This is just an issue right now. And it's going to be like a brick wall if we don't figure out how to give him safety. Like you said, franchising is a much safer way than his natural tendency, which is to try to be an entrepreneur. And he is wired to be an inventor, but it doesn't feel safe. So franchising is going to feel a little safer. But without knowing exactly what it means to him and then finding a business that aligns with that, we can only talk about the safety of entrepreneurship. I mean, of franchising versus him continuing down this consulting role, which is not safe. He's constantly having to sell, the project is done, it takes him away from certain whatever. It's not providing him the safety that he's looking for. So we want to leverage how, if he stays where he is now, he's never going to have that kind of safety, and how he is going to have it going over. So again, a year from now, that thing might go away, right? He may
Yeah.
be having a health issue right now. He may be going through a financial decision. Who knows what's going on, but we know it's big. So
Okay.
ask him more questions around that, Steve. Same
Mhm.
with dependability. We can guess what dependability is, and my notes suggest that that's number 5 at value. So dependability, I think, has to do with having ongoing projects or ongoing income. But again, we don't know. We don't know what he means by dependability. Is it if I have to take a month off from my parents that the business is going to continue on without me? Because he has a propensity to get mired, and then the business is completely dependent on him. So does it mean I need to be putting myself in a situation where the business doesn't fully depend on me? Is that what he means by dependability? Where the salespeople can keep going, the small manufacturing business can keep going, the business can keep going. Again, we want to ask because, for example, in the coaching and facilitating business, it is highly dependent on that individual, right? So if his marker is, it can't be dependent on me, then coaching is probably not his best option, right? Some of these other things might be a better option. But I'll always ask. So again, he's a stage 2 or stage 3, but Luke brings up really important factors that we don't want to go too small. It needs to be, at least 30 units is where we need it. And it can be up to probably about 300 units, as long as it has that creative culture and the innovation he needs. Keep in mind also of all the groups, director, promoter, Seidel, connector, any. The ultimate thing that a societal wants is to contribute and to have spiritual and emotional satisfaction. That's where the pain is coming from, is he is not getting his heart needs taken care of, because he's not using his talents to the fullest, probably due to his safety issues. So this isn't just, let's find him a business that makes him money. He's got a spiritual and heart issue going on that needs to feel satisfied, needs to come to the end of the day knowing he helped someone. He changed a life. He changed a community. He's helping others. He's living up to God's demands of him, or whatever his beliefs are around that. This pattern, by the way, I think we've talked about this before in some of these training. This is a CEO pattern. He has no weaknesses, which Stephen already pointed out. He has no weaknesses. He can go ops, he can talk anything and solve a problem anywhere. So he's got a CEO mindset. Where it breaks down is here. He's hung up in the consultant arena rather than moving on to an entrepreneurial single unit. So he's going to keep spiraling. Trying to think. And then let's look here, because this always gives us some great insight. We know he has a large comfort zone. So whatever the fears are, we have to address. The fear is around something around safety, something around dependability. It's also around being manipulated, not getting wiser and more knowledgeable as time goes on, and not making a contribution. Literally, not learning, not making a contribution is a fear, a deep-rooted fear that I'm going to get to the end of my life and I'm not going to be any wiser than I was 10 years ago, or I'm not going to have made any bigger difference than I did 10 years ago. And I'm going to be talked into a business that's just about money. These are huge fears for him. Never mind, he has a fear around safety and he has a fear around dependability. So we got to address those the best we can. Again, you have a good relationship. So these are conversations you'll be able to have.
Okay.
But with a large comfort zone, it's going to take a bit of work. I'm really glad you started over, because now we can get some inertia going rather than kind of starting in the middle.
Right.
So, and then the other kind of obstacle you're going to have to overcome is, actually, there's three obstacles here. One, because he's endlessly problem solving and seeing gaps and creative. If you don't have a very precise process, he's going to get lost. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to look at 1,000 options. He's not going to do that. It's just going to have to be a tighter process, just like you discussed with him when you said you eliminated something before you looked at it, Brian. I need you to look at it and at the end go, it didn't meet this criteria, it did meet, and therefore the answer is yes or no. So you're forcing him into a process. That'll give his brain that opportunity it needs. But if you don't have a very precise process and one that he's buying into, his natural instinct is not necessarily just to go into rabbit holes, but into creative modes, right? So he's not a true optional, don't get me wrong, but he is creative. So tie him up just like you did. Nope, nope, we're going to start over. Step one, step two, step three. Nope,
Yeah.
nope, nope. You're not going to eliminate this until you do this, this, and this first. You
Right.
put him in a process and keep doing that and laying it out for him, and it'll make him feel safe, which is his number one priority, is to make him feel safe. And at the end, he's going to feel content that he's making the right decisions. We already know that he's a difference-oriented individual. This is not uncommon for someone as innovative as he is. So we want to put him in a business where it's not redundant and the same thing day in and day out. It has to have
Right.
something. There's change, almost project-based changes, right? Or a different client or a different project or a different problem to solve. because he bores if he doesn't have, if his mind isn't engaged. He's not a widget guy. And of course, we're going to want to point out when we're showing different businesses how one is different than the other, and how more specifically that these businesses are different than what he's doing, because he's going to spiral. We already know that. So we're going to keep showing him how this is going to give him something that this other consulting gigs aren't giving him. Really, were you fully emotionally and spiritually satisfied with that project? Yes, no. Really, did you make the kind of money you believe you deserve? Do you think it took more time than you were willing to commit, but you did it anyway? So you want to keep pointing out to move him away from you didn't get all your needs met with this. You didn't fully express your God-given talents. You didn't fully make the money you deserve. You didn't get to take that client to the next level that you knew they could go to if they would just listen to your advice. You're going to point out all the things and how these other businesses will do that. You have to point it out, otherwise he's going to keep snapping back. Boom, boom, boom. And then, of course, to me, one of the most difficult ones is this internal sorter. He has a very distinct internal set of standards. This could be, again, religious, spiritual, or could just be because he's had a lot of great experiences and he has seen it all. And he has cataloged them, right? Where he's cataloged these experiences. And when you show him something and it doesn't line up with his catalogs for M&As, he could eliminate them faster than, right? So we got to know what that catalog is that he has, or that file that he has. And this is someone with extensive experience and knowledge. So if we don't know what that catalog is, he could shut down and say, nope, that's not right. Like he did with the Happier at Home, right? He shut it down before he even checked it out. So I'm trying to think the best way to do that with him. And it may be as simple, Steve, as saying, how does this line up with other businesses you've consulted with? Or how does this line up with your knowledge of equity or finances or operations? How does this line up? Because he's not just comparing to one thing. Most of us, it would be our gut feeling, but he's lining it up with a catalog. So you're going to want to regularly check. Okay, this is what the franchisor told you. This is what the franchisees, this is what the FTD is telling. How does this line up with what you know about business? And then he can double check and he can get that feeling inside.
Great.
My heart breaks for this guy. I want him to find the right business.
Yeah, me too.
He's got a lot of good years. Only 51.
I'm curious. I'm curious, Steve. What key factors have you defined? And if I missed it, please forgive me.
Key factors as to what?
For a business.
Oh,
Not any one particular business, but if he were listing out 5 to 7 key factors that he has to have in order to be satisfied with the business, what do those look like?
Like his criteria.
Right.
Hang on a second. I've got that very thing. Let's see.
That's a great question, by the way.
I'm gonna, can I share my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
How do I do that here?
You go to the bottom and there's a up
Then
arrow
share.
that says share.
Button.
Oh, I wasn't enlarged. I got enlarged to do that. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, this is what I was going to be working on next. He went through these are some of the key points I pulled out of either the Zorakle summary, Zorakle profile, or his questionnaire. And he went in and ranked them for me.
Oh my gosh, this is great.
Yeah.
Innovation. Look at that. Number 9.
Yeah, right. That's the highest.
Hi, and making a contribution, all things we know. This is fabulous.
Yeah. So, and then here's his business interests that we talked about different business categories, and these are the ones that he nailed down. Now, ignore these numbers in this column. These are his rankings.
Okay.
So he's really looking at industrial services, like I mentioned,
Yeah.
um, and working with seniors is secondary. And
Mm-hmm.
he's a little hesitant. I mean, that would be a 9 for him, except he thinks that, I mean, he mentally and maybe in his heart likes that because it's more indicative of making a contribution, I think, to us, on an altruistic level.
Yeah.
But he also realizes he doesn't want to have a thing to do with it.
It's a lot of them,
And he also,
a lot of
Mhm.
employees too. A lot
yeah,
of moving parts and
yeah.
headaches and
Now, but he has a sister who has experience in this area, and he would make her part of the business or employ her,
mm,
buy the franchise for her. That's a possibility here.
okay.
So anyway, so these are his top three. Healthy lifestyle kind of surprised me, and so I am throwing a couple brands at him in that area. Uh, but one of them is C3 Wellness, and I don't, and they're an emerging brand, so I'm not sure that that's going to work, or maybe
That
I should
and
present it.
those investment ranges for the brick and mortar health and wellness, those can get up there too. And I
Yeah,
saw he's
yeah,
hoping to stay around like 150. So
yeah. Now he's got, I mean, you can see his net worth is pretty significant, and
mhm.
so he could spend more, and for the right brand.
Okay.
Uh, I'm not, I'm not considering his 200K a real limit.
Yeah, looking
That's,
at the senior care category too, there's newer senior care brands that have that flexibility and kind of let the owners shape what the system looks like when you think of a place at home or touching hearts, executive home care, some of those newer senior care brands,
mhm,
they're still going to have that real sense of community and allow the owner to be flexible with what revenue streams they offer. And if his
mhm.
sister's involved, she can handle a lot of the things he doesn't want to do. So that could be a fit. He's just got to see how that stacks up against some of the other brands we kind of talked about.
Yeah, yeah,
Just out of curiosity, guys, again, this is your business. You understand it much better than I do because I don't understand all the systems. What about like an ERA or Schoolie Mitchell?
Mm-hmm.
Would that line up with some of what we're talking about here too, where he's
Yeah.
still business?
ERA is really high sales though.
Yeah. Really high
That-
sales,
Really high sales.
really financially focused. Schoolie Mitchell might be a better compared to the two because they have your guidelines you can follow, the verticals that they coach and assess on. But I think if anything, like in that realm, like a focal point or an alternative board is going to be a better fit because they get more into business coaching, not so much sales and financial specifically, but like leadership
he,
coaching and vision for the business. And I feel like he might connect with that on a more level than how can we save you money, which is basically what
yeah,
Mitchell.
cost reduction would be second nature to him. I mean,
I think so
he can
too.
do that in his sleep.
Mhm.
But and Schoolie Mitchell, I mean, now that I've worked with dentists a little bit, I mean, they're pretty rigid.
They
It
are.
Yeah,
seems to
Yeah.
that's a
me.
good point. Yeah, and he can't.
ERA is a lot less rigid, and they actually kind of let franchisees decide how they want to work. Like, do you want to do your own jobs? Do you want to collaborate with other franchisees on their jobs? Do you want to say you specialize in one thing, or are you more, cast a wide net? Great business, great culture and everything. Um, if he likes the financial side of it, it could be a really good fit because you have the consulting side, but it's focused on let's find ways to save your business money.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay,
I really like Supply Point.
I
Steve,
do too.
I do too.
you're managing
And I
long-term
love this is it's a
relationships.
young leadership that just
Mhm.
flat out is on the edge of everything. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and they're opening up that freight side of the business to offer some more flexibility. I think that'd be really attractive. Um, it's a growing brand that's, still figuring its way,
Mhm.
which could be really attractive to him. And he has direct access to, all the executive leadership. I feel like that aspect will be pretty attractive to him. And you don't need a big team, but the first thing you do is hire an outside salesperson so he can manage relationships and build the business behind the scenes, focus on the big picture. And then he's got an employee doing the kind of day to day dirty work sales.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I'm sure he's going to want to see, you know, quite a few different brands. Like he's going to want to see everything you have to show him. That's kind of what I'm picking
And
up.
I have a bunch, unfortunately. This isn't
Yeah.
going to be giving him three options.
I think
Uh,
he'll narrow it down for you though. You'll be,
that's the idea. My process would be to go through these present brand presentations tomorrow, and
Mhm,
then come back to this criteria sheet, and now fill in, the brands that he wants to really focus on, and
mhm.
start a little bit of an analysis here.
Yeah.
I might, based on our conversation today, I might add a few things here too to this list.
You'll see how he reacts too. I'm sure he's going to have, noticeable reactions to some concepts. He's going to show his cards a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, this
This
was
has
great,
been
Rebecca.
really helpful for me, and hopefully I can, we won't go another 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta take care of those splatter dots, find out what that safety is and dependability
Yep,
is.
Mhm,
yep.
And he's already told you how important innovation is. Um,
Mhm.
and honestly, just the way we spoke today, I don't think I have felt that much pain when I watched that. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to help this guy so bad because he's so talented. Um,
Yeah, yeah, he
I can
is.
only
He's a
imagine
great
what
guy.
he is, I can only imagine what he is feeling. To, be okay with being vulnerable with him so he can be vulnerable with you. Because if he knows you understand him and you truly care, and he has a couple of detriments that, uh, was not even a detriment. He's got these talents that are pulling against this other thing. He's got, this entrepreneurial idea, innovator kind of inventor, literally inventor side of him
Mhm.
that gets hung up in being a consultant rather than the business owner. He's got these things and he's got that's going on. If he knows you understand that this is a almost a spiritual battle he's going on, then he's not going to be embarrassed when he feels stuck and needs your feedback or advice. And he's not going to feel bad if he has to go through another 6 month cycle with you because you get it that he's going to be like a rubber band, boom, 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 kind of thing.
Yeah.
So don't be
As
afraid.
as you're describing that, Rebecca, it just dawned on me. This is somebody who needs to know that they have access to a business coach right off the bat.
Yeah,
That they're not starting this business on their own. Now, whether that business coach is within the franchisor or somebody that they bring in from the outside, it's somebody that needs to be able to keep them between the rails and not let them drift back into what they do.
Well, this is, once I get into referring Brian to franchisors, Luke, I think that I will share a lot of information about Brian with that person or those people, so they have a good understanding and can be that coach to keep him, focused and contained. Um, So yeah, I would share a lot of this information with him. I've been sharing the Zorakle profiles with franchisors that I refer clients to,
Mhm.
and they seem to really appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's
And,
great.
and also know that I know you're doing it through the BAI system, but make sure you also refer through the Zoracle system so they can get the Eclipse reports. If they're clients of ours, they'll get the Eclipse report. And they'll really appreciate that. Otherwise, they have to do it again and they're paying for it, but this will be a benefit to them. I hate to do this, guys, but I'm back to back today.
Yeah.
I have to hold my next
No
meeting.
Thanks,
problem.
Rebecca.
Thanks
Love
so
you
much,
all.
Rebecca.
Thanks, Heath.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
guys.
Steve,
Rebecca.
thanks for sharing.
Thanks,
Hey, take
everybody.
care.